Let me ask you something. What if the biggest misunderstanding we've had about faith is thinking that growth stops once we arrive? Because somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that once we are saved, mature, educated, experienced, that's it. You're done. But the Bible tells us a very different story. And honestly, my own life wouldn't make any sense if learning ever stopped. Because God keeps changing the assignment. You cannot get used to this. And every new assignment requires new learning. But when we cling too tightly to what we've been, we resist the very growth God is using to shape us. So let's talk about that, shall we? Paul writes in Romans 12:2 that we are to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Not transformed once, but continually renewed. We are growing into the likeness of Jesus. And in 2 Corinthians 3:18, he says, we are being transformed. We're moving from glory to glory. That is progress language. We have not arrived. And Jesus himself said in John 5:17, my Father is always working, and I am too. Which tells us something important. Creation did not stop in Genesis. God is still working, still shaping, still forming into the likeness of Jesus the Son. We are not finished products. We are living clay. In Jeremiah chapter 18, the prophet watches a potter working clay on a wheel. And when the vessel isn't yet what the potter intends, he doesn't throw it away. Verse 4 says that the potter reworks it into another vessel, as it seems good to the potter to make. Not because the clay is rejected, but because the clay is still becoming. It's in the process of becoming. Just like we all are, we have not arrived. The image of Christ has not yet been perfected in us, but we are on our journey. So that tells me something important. God isn't reacting to us. He is forming us. He does not get surprised when we stumble, when we fall. He is still shaping us, even in those moments. And for that to happen, the clay has to stay pliable. That just means to be soft enough to be shaped, not stiff, not closed off, just teachable. Isaiah says it plainly in Isaiah 64 verse 8. We are the clay and you are the potter. We are the work of your hand. Look at the pattern. Moses was a shepherd when God called him in Exodus chapter 3. But leadership didn't come fully formed. God used the wilderness, Pharaoh, and even Jethro in Exodus 18 to teach Moses courage, obedience, and delegation. He was being formed. David was anointed king in 1 Samuel 16, but he spent years hiding in caves. Character had to catch up with calling. He was already called. He had to be formed into the king he had been called to be. God shaped him in obscurity. And then there were the disciples in Mark chapter 4. They're in a boat. So the storm is raging. The wind is howling. The waves are crashing. And Jesus speaks. The wind stops. The waves settle. And in Mark 4:41, the disciples ask, who is this that even the wind and the waves obey him? Remember, they were already following him, already committed to Jesus. And they still realized we have more to learn about who we are following. Calling did not end their learning. Jesus started off calling them, but they had ways to go in their learning. Calling began their learning. So this isn't theoretical for me. At 17, I had to learn how to boldly live out my Christian faith in a Muslim school. No manual, no roadmap. I learned by walking it out. 2 years later, I crossed into a new country. I had to learn 2 new languages at the same time, just to survive academically and socially. And God didn't stop there. I eventually found myself ministering in one of those languages. So learning for me wasn't optional. It was survival. And it became purpose. Later, I earned 2 master's degrees. I don't know why things are coming in twos. Then God launched me into IT consulting. And if you know anything about tech, what you know today is outdated by tomorrow. Learning never stopped. In fact, that's the one thing that scared me getting into this field. But God was with me and has never left me. Then I found myself in business. Not because I planned it, but because I had to respond. So I learned fast. I had no time to waste. Because if I didn't, the business wouldn't have survived. And then something interesting happened. The business didn't just survive, it began to thrive. I was learning sales, finances, talking to customers. So many different things. Taxes. Ooh, yeah. I had quite a bit to learn. And here's the truth. I am still learning. Because every time God expands the assignment, He also expands the capacity required to carry it out. So learning wasn't pressure. It was stewardship. Responsibility for what God had entrusted to me. Jim Rohn once said, "If you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree." And I always think that, well, if you are a tree in the kingdom, then maybe you're supposed to keep growing, right? Psalm 92 even says that the righteous shall bear fruit in old age. Motherhood taught me this at a deeper level. I learned how to be a mom to 2 kids, and then I thought I had figured it out, right? Then God gave me 2 more kids with special needs. And suddenly, what I thought I knew no longer applied. It wasn't enough. I had to learn again. In fact, I had to unlearn, meaning I had to set aside all of my assumptions, the things I thought I knew, and I had to learn again. Grace, patience, advocacy, and new ways of loving were formed in me because of my new kids, my special needs kids. Learning didn't replace who I was. It deepened who I was becoming. At one point, my son started piano lessons. And I thought, I have always wanted to learn piano. But I told myself the lie many adults tell themselves. It's too late. Then it dawned on me. I could decide to learn even after 40 if I wanted to. So I asked my son's piano teacher. I was like, quick question. Do you teach much bigger kids? And And by bigger kids, I mean grown, employed, tired, with a calendar. And she said yes. So I learned piano. Learning doesn't expire. So I learned piano until I dropped out of class because of a busy schedule. But I started. Can I ask you something? What is the one thing you've quietly told yourself, it's probably too late for me to learn that? What is it? Just sit with that for 1 second. Because the question isn't whether you can learn it. It's whether you are willing to stay pliable enough to let God keep shaping you. So if something came to mind, you are welcome to share it in the comments. Sometimes naming it is the first step. And then there is my mom. For years, she recorded sermons and sent them on WhatsApp to friends and family. She did not know anything about email, no internet, no YouTube. She just did her thing on WhatsApp. And she was content. Now, at 78, she has a YouTube channel. And she opened it last year. She's open to learning more. She's learned how to upload her videos. She's starting to figure out how to even edit stuff. She's hungry. That reminds me of Psalm 71:18, where the psalmist says, "Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, till I declare your power to the next generation." That's not technology. That's teachability. My mom has surprised me with what she's been able to do in the last year. She's preaching the gospel, reaching the world. Here is the principle. God forms us through learning. He does this to prepare us to carry out what He has entrusted to us. The danger is clinging too tightly to who we were and crowding out who God is forming next. We are not leaving any room for our future selves. Paul writes in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, that we are God's workmanship. We've been created for good works. He never stopped creating. He's still creating, and He's creating through us. We were created in His image. And if the Creator created us, we should have the capacity to create things as well. He is still shaping. He is still forming. He is still working in and through us for His purpose. Therefore, the clay that stays soft, that stays pliable, meaning teachable and open, will always be shaped for purpose. So maybe growth doesn't mean abandoning who you've been. Maybe it means loosening the grip just enough to let God keep working. Because faith was never about arriving. It was always about becoming. Remember when Jesus called the fishermen? He said to them, "Come, and I will make you fishers of men. I will make you." It's always about becoming. When we start our journey with Christ, learning never stops. It never stops until His glory shines through us. When they see the good works that we're able to do, they give our Father in heaven the glory.
In moments like these, I sing out a song. I sing out a love song to Jesus. In moments like these, I lift up my hands. I lift up my hands to the Lord, singing, I love you, Lord, singing, I love you, Lord, singing, I love you, Lord, I love you, Lord, singing, I love you, Lord, singing, I love you, Lord, I love you, I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord.
Well, have a wonderful rest of your day as you become what God purposed for your life.